Welcome to the next episode of the Iowa Girls Wrestling Stories podcast. Today I have Dan Lovell. He is the head women's wrestling coach at Hawkeye Community College. I run into him a few times a year. He helps out a little bit with Cedar Falls. How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Very good. I thought we'd start. Us old guys like to go back and talk about our beginnings in wrestling and why we're gray haired and bald and gray haired and bald and still involved in this. So where did you start wrestling?
Grew up in Marshalltown, Iowa. We had at the time, was one of the bigger wrestling clubs. We pulled in a lot of towns from all over the place. My oldest brother, he's about 6 years older than me. He was going to wrestling practice, and so my dad would take me along, and I was probably only in first grade, maybe kindergarten. And once I got there, I couldn't sit there. I was probably one of those child that had ADHD, but wasn't really diagnosed back then.
Yep.
So I was bouncing off the walls. So eventually they said, "Well, why don't you just let him go work out with that guy over there, or that go work out with that kid?" And so that's how it started. And I was just like got into it and just fell in love with it, and just kept going from there.
Very nice. And so you wrestled for Marshalltown in high school then?
Yeah.
Yep. And how was your high school years? What, those are challenging times and figured out and I know where you ended up, but how was your career at Marshalltown?
It was good. It was good career there. Got over 100 some matches, wins, and state finalist, state runner up. My sophomore year, I was ranked third in the state. I was really, had a good season. Right before the state tournament, kind of had a shoulder injury. Thought I was tough enough to just tough it out, and just ended up forfeiting, injury medical forfeiting that first round match, and
Oh,
that just kind of actually helped me prepare better after that. I got more focused, and because that was kind of I really wanted to be on the podium that year. I should have been. A lot of guys up there are guys that I beat that season, and uh, but it was to me it was just a way of I needed to do this before I go to that next level. So always training to get to that next level.
yeah, and that's really really good advice because our defeats actually are the ones that define us and turn us into who we actually are. It's not those easy wins, so that's awesome. But I know you ended up at UNO and you were coached by Coach Denny. And I just that guy is an amazing guy. And I just thought maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience at UNO and things you've taken from Coach Denny.
Well, I started off my college career at Iowa State.
Oh,
Uh, Wrestled there for a couple years, and just wasn't working out. I didn't feel, you know, in other colleges, and I had a roommate, Mike Kelly, coaches at Nyack.
yep.
His older brother went to UNO, and he suggested that I take a look at there. And as soon as I went up and did the tour of the campus and sat down with Coach Denny, I was sold. I was sold right away. I didn't want to look at any other colleges. So I transferred there, and it was definitely worth it. Everything that I utilized as a coach, helping wrestlers out, kind of stems from what I learned from him and just being a good guy and a good wrestler, and uh, making everyone feel comfortable when they're in your program.
Yeah, yeah. He had a hell of a run at UNO and just a horrible way for an administration to end a end a team,
Yeah.
my team I went to Dana, so not too far down the road from you guys and man, I hated going to that UNO Open. What a horrible weekend for me every time. But man, they put some good people on the mat and stuff. And then you had the opportunity to coach with Coach Denny a little bit, also, didn't you?
Yeah, that was definitely that really got me into coaching. I was kind of on the fence. I was like, I don't really want to know what I want to do after I graduate. But once I started coaching, he had put us in positions where he knew that he could utilize us best, and we just gained experience from that and just kept building.
Yeah, he's yeah, great experience there. Um, One other place that I saw that you know helped coach out a little bit. I got some connections there too, so it's kind of fun to have these small world connections. But Jamestown, one of my high school teammates coached at Jamestown when you were up there, Tony DeAnda. What was your experience like way up in North Dakota where it's not very warm right now?
Well, it was interesting. You have to be a pretty good salesman up in North Dakota to convince people to come all the way up there. And there's opportunities all over the place. But I started hitting areas where I knew like the population was just huge, and people aren't going to get to those areas, such as Texas, California, Alaska. I had guys from Hawaii, Florida. I'd start pulling from there. Just not Alaska doesn't have the huge population, but very
Yeah,
few people go up and recruit up there. So their state tournaments in December. So one year we just took a flight up there and recruited out of there and started pulling in Alaskans into there. And well, they're pretty much adapted to the weather, but
yep.
my Florida kids, Texas kids, California, it was something new to them.
Oh, I bet
It was an
so.
adventure every time.
Yeah, I remember in Nebraska, those kids that came up from Texas or Florida, they were wearing jackets and we're out in shorts and t-shirt and weather, you know, in November.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I can only imagine because North Dakota is it gets chilly up there. It's really chilly up there, but yeah, a neat place. So I run into you every once in a while, a few times a year. Um, you help with Cedar Falls program a little bit, and anything else up in that area that you were involved in? I know there's a lot of clubs up in there, but uh, what do you do? Right, not just coaching for Hawkeye. I know you do a lot of things. So
Well, I like to in the summertime. I like to get involved with Iowa USA Wrestling. And this last, I guess it wouldn't be summer, but I'm not really sure that Twin Rivers
yep,
kind of got involved with that. I really enjoyed that. That was a great opportunity to. I coached like the junior high kind of
yes,
elementary team, and
uh-huh,
then I had a high school team. Uh, and I don't mind. I love the opportunity to be a coach behind the coach.
uh-huh,
You know, I'm not one that just wants to step up and say, "Oh, let me run everything," because I've been doing this forever. I was like, I like sitting back. I like having that, not so much the pressure, as a head coach, but sitting back and
yep.
being able to talk to the kids in between matches and, get them pumped up for their matches, things like that. Really kind of get to know, what's going on, what's making the teams run and things like that. So, that's where I use most of my time. I like trying to get more experience everywhere I go, everything I
Yep.
do.
Yeah, I like what I kind of do the same things at those, the dual tournaments and stuff. And I love to sit behind an Ally Jabrock, just I learn things from every coach I work with, but I've really learned a lot from just watching her and her interactions with her team and her girls. And it's fun to see those younger coaches coming in. And because someday we're gonna have to hang up our shoes and our whistles and just be fans. But it's fun to know that that next generation of girls is coming in to coach. What's been your experience? With some of the like we'll start here. You started a program at West Marshall, girls program. So was that your first real experience coaching girls?
It was my first experience with just a full team of girls. You
Okay.
know, uh, ever since I started coaching out in California, high school, I've always had females on the team, and then California was always kind of just a little bit ahead of everybody. And we started when I was out there coaching. We started having our conference tournament would be like the ending, and then they had like an unsanctioned state tournament. And then by the time I left, there was a sanctioned California state tournament with the regional tournament. But at that time, I was the only coach, head coach. They really weren't really focused on the girls' side. So they were
Yep.
always just part of our practice, and I doing what we're doing now is what I wish it would have been like, wish to have them separated. That's the biggest thing,
Yep.
running the guys and the girls program together. I think it's it's tough to do. And then I don't think we're getting, out of that practice what we really want to get. Uh, so starting the one in West Marshall, that was my first actual all girls team. So
Mm-hmm.
I started them off training them the same
Yep.
way that I trained my boys. And I knew right away after first, second, or third practice, I was like, okay, let's go back to drawing board. Let's start from here. Here's what we're doing great. Here's what we need to work on, and just kind of blew it up from there. And it started clicking with a lot of girls, and changing the way we drill, and like one of the things I'm really focused on right now is how to minimize the shoulder injuries. That's
Yes.
To me, it's getting out of hand a little bit. Half my girls on my college team here, have harnesses on their shoulders, and I'm just trying to figure out what are we doing that's could be causing that. Is there something we need to change? When we look at how girls are built and developed. So, that's kind of where I'm at now.
I've seen a lot of those shoulder injuries too. I've been coaching girls, 10 years or so, and I've had a lot of shoulder surgeries in those times. I've watched a lot of shoulder surgeries happen. Um, and I don't want to blame anything on officials or anything because I know it's a very hard job. But I think a lot of people in their mind believe that girls are so flexible that they let that stuff go. That where they're calling potentially dangerous on a guy, the girl's arm is over on the other side of her head,
Yeah.
before they even consider check calling it. So I think there's some of that. The upper body strength is different. So yeah, those are some issues that I think as girls coaches and figuring out some of those things, we definitely need to figure that out, just to keep girls healthy and stuff. So one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on today was, first you were the start of the program at Hawkeye Community College, which is another big build for you and growing stuff. But I want to talk about junior colleges, and the recruitment process there, and what junior colleges really have to offer. And there's a lot of reasons to look at that option. So I don't care where you start. If you want to start with Hawkeye itself, or maybe we'll go into how you recruit to Hawkeye.
Well, just starting the program here at Hawkeye, I knew when I walked in here, we didn't have a wrestling facility, and they promised they were gonna get one built for us. So I believed them, and we did. We eventually did get one done, and it's really nice. Wish I could send you pictures of it. We could throw it on there,
Oh yeah, we
but
will. We'll do that.
it's two full size mats. We were hoping for three, but we were kind of limited with our space. But we ended up getting also a weight room attached to that as well, and so it's kind of all in one facility for us, which really makes it a good place to train. It's just right down the way from our college, and once that was, well, let's go back to recruiting. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so all of last year we didn't have this built. This was just built within the last 6 months or so, and well, actually, no, it was a little bit before that, but you know, I was bringing recruits on campus and I was just having them say, okay, now just close your eyes and imagine a wrestling facility. I got some pictures of what they
Yep.
they hope to be, but so all the girls that I have right now on the team, I'm so happy to have them here because they did. They had to kind of close their eyes and have a vision of what we could build, and they all kind of believed in that. And well, I brought them here, and that's what we've been establishing. I mean, currently right now we're ranked number 10 in the nation, so that's a good start.
Yeah,
We have
it's a
five
great
girls
start.
ranked in the top. Um, so what else? What else would you want me to talk about?
Well, if so, a lot of times we're as high school coaches, I've maybe pushed a lot of girls into college wrestling, and maybe they weren't ready for college wrestling. Um, So the JUCO option, I believe the stat is 50% of all girls that go to wrestle in college, 50% are done within the first 2 years.
Yeah.
So that option of maybe getting an opportunity to be at a 2-year school where you're not at a school that costs $40,000 a year, or something like that. What's your sell me to come to Hawkeye Community College?
Okay, so I used to coach at a NAIA school, and I had to say, I understand what we have to do, as college coaches, recruiting and bringing
Hmm.
kids in and everything. So, I understand their part, and I'm never going to knock, all the schools here in Iowa because they're all tough and they're all
Yep.
great. And we're exploding right now with girls college wrestling. It's ridiculous, to be honest. Looking at other states, that barely had a NCAA team or an NAIA team, and now, here we are, Iowa, with next year we'll have 8 um, junior college programs that have female wrestling. So
Wow.
that being said, there's a lot of girls that we go out and we recruit, and we recruit all over the country and even overseas and stuff like that. I personally, being up in North Dakota for so long, I tried to pull Iowa kids up there, but it just
Yep.
never. I got one, I think, over the 6 years I was there. So I knew if I was back in Iowa, I wanted to really focus on Iowa. So
Yep.
that's why I kind of got involved with Allie over at Cedar Falls. And because as we're building a program, that first year of recruiting, I didn't have any teams to work with. So I just had a lot of free time. And I said, what's the best way to get out there and recruit? And that was to help someone in the area. And luckily, this is a nice hotbed of wrestling.
Yes, it
So just
is.
got a
Yes, it
hold of
is.
Allie, and I started by just asking if I could help out preseason, helps run some practice and stuff like that. Next thing you know, she convinced me to help on her staff, and I mean that was great because opportunity to go around all the she hits a bunch of tournaments. Um, we had some little ones, and then the big ones, and so I was able to go around, talk to coaches, met you, and
Yep.
you know, a lot of the girls are wrestling in itself is new. They're wrestling for their high school, they're wrestling
Yeah.
folk style. Freestyle is like not even in their mind. Is
Hmm.
even they can't even grasp the concept yet. So explaining to a lot of girls that hey, we wrestle freestyle in college. I think a lot of girls are turned off right away because they're like, well, I, all I know is folk style. Um, so explaining to them, the rules and the difference. I would say I'm going to say every girl on the team this year was purely folk style prior to coming in.
Oh, wow.
So there were some that knew about it, wrestled maybe one tournament, but that was about it.
So
So you know,
on that note, the transitioning between folk style to freestyle, you've got a lot of experience doing that because you've been coaching a long time and you've coached both men's programs, women's programs. You wrestled for freestyle for USA Wrestling, so you have some experience in there. How hard is the transition for girls to go from folk style to freestyle? What are some of the hard things? What are some things as high school coaches maybe we could start doing just to help you guys out?
I think the biggest thing is like high school girls, and well, almost in every division, if you got a high school kid that comes to college, the one thing that they're going to struggle in first is getting out from the bottom.
Yep.
So girls are learning wrestling right now. I was just at a tournament the other day, and the girls want to choose top. They're like, I don't want to go
Yep.
underneath because then they could pin me. But we grew up thinking, okay, that's a free point for us. If we get out, it's free point. So talking to them, a lot of the recruits and a lot of the girls that haven't wrestled freestyle, and explaining that, well, that part that you don't like, the part that you hate doing is going down on the bottom. Well, you
Yep.
don't really have to worry about that anymore. Once you get taken down, defend a half, defend your gut, defend laces, then boom,
You're
you're
back
back on your
up.
feet.
Yep.
So that's the biggest thing. And then just through working with like Iowa USA Wrestling, they have all their coaches that they coach on the national team have
Hmm.
to go earn points at local tournaments during
Yep.
the freestyle season as an official. So you just gain knowledge. And I used to work or be a part of Minnesota Storm
Oh,
coaching
yeah.
staff up there. I
Yeah.
was I was coaching up there for I don't know 8 years maybe. I got on staff there and just stayed on staff and worked my way up to like the junior duels and then Fargo, going to Fargo with the Fargo team there. And so we were really good friends with the head official up there, and he helped me with my college kids. He'd come over and he would show them all how to officiate, and then we'd go up to like Grand Forks and run that whole tournament and officiate for
Mm.
everybody. But coming to Iowa, I got to officiate, every summer, and you gain that knowledge, and once you have knowledge of the sport of freestyle and
Yeah.
really understand it, it's not that hard of a concept. But there is just multiple ways to score, and that's the different part. A lot of girls get frustrated because they're like, she scored 8 points on me, and she never even got a takedown. You know,
Yep.
that's how it is.
Yep.
Um,
When you talk about that, my very first freestyle match I ever had, probably sophomore, junior in high school. And I got front headlocked and rolled through. And, never, I'm thinking I'm fine because there's no control. Stood up and he tech followed me and I didn't
yeah,
understand what the heck happened. So yeah, the understanding of the rules was a big deal for that. Yeah. So yeah, funny that you said that because it's the same exact thing that happened to me.
when I bring those girls in, the recruits, our first, or not the recruits, but now they're my wrestlers.
Yep.
We spent the first 2, 3 weeks just going over the rules. I kind of had, here's what to expect, what the official's going to do, how they're going to make these calls. Here's how you score. We're kind of going over technique at the same time, but I really made them comfortable to understand how the rules work, and it's really kind of paid off. We had one of my girls. She was wrestling the third ranked girl in the country, and she ended up winning the match 6-6, where she had criteria at the end,
Yep.
and had the score been 6-6 at the beginning of the year when she didn't know how to wrestle freestyle,
Yep.
she probably would have been taking crazy shots, or doing something crazy to think that she needed to have more points. But
Yes.
she knew,
Yeah.
she looked up at the clock, and it indicated that she was the one with criteria. And last 20 seconds we just hand fought and won the match. So
Very nice. Yeah. I've been doing a little bit of that too. I've really gotten to the point where I enjoy working with officials, like kind of in your area. Mark Kenny is a guy I'm real familiar with. Joe Fontenot. Anytime I run into officials that I know, I like to discuss the rules so then I can take that back to the wrestling room and what are the officials looking for. And I suppose that's really important at the freestyle level because especially said most of the girls don't have any freestyle experience. So just
yeah,
understanding the step out, understanding that I'm on the shot clock, but I don't have to shoot. It's okay. We're not. I'll give up the one and not the two, or whatever things like that. So very very important in that. You also are the men's coach there. Is that correct? So
yeah,
you're running both
yep,
programs. How have you separated that out? You two separate practices? How are you?
yeah.
Or okay, yep. I was
Especially at the
just
college level, because the guys are going to wrestle folk style and the girls wrestle freestyle. So
yeah, yeah,
I can't
very
even
difficult.
I can't even mix them together. Like the times that we do have both of them in there,
Hmm.
that's what I utilize our weight room. In the cardio room, they're in there for an hour, and the other team's on the mat, and then we just flip flop. Works perfectly. But we have a majority of the girls in the classes that they take, they're done at a certain time. They're done at an earlier time, so they're able to go from 3 to 5, and then the guys will come in from 5 to 7. Some of the classes that they're taking goes a little bit longer. They spend a little bit longer on the like the construction tech and stuff like that. They got them out in
Yep,
the field and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
so it works out pretty good for us
Good.
separating
So,
them.
you know, going to the 2 year option also opens up some different things. What are some things that are offered at Hawkeye and a lot of the junior colleges that you're just not going to get at going to an NAIA school, a D2, D3, uh, different things, the more technical fields. So what are some of those options?
Well, I think when I talk to a lot of kids and they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done wrestling when this high school's over. Not really sure what I'm going to do." The junior college option. We got a lot of the construction trades, diesel mechanics, agriculture. We got a working farm that's right next to us that the kids that are in ag, they get to go in there and actually do stuff in the farm, be a part of
Mhm.
it, learn how it functions. Uh, Nursing, EMT, police academy kind of stuff, police science. I mean, firefighting. We got all those kind of trades that only about a 2 year associate is what you're going to need. Nursing, like I said, you can get your RN, I believe it's called. You get
Yeah.
that, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Or we also give that option of a liberal arts transfer degree where you can study, everything that's at a main university, like a 4 year university. So you can get those electives out of the way that you would have to take at a 4 year university. You can take them here, get them all done. That way, when you transfer your next 2 years, you're just focused on that major that you're interested in. That
Yeah.
you're,
I think that's really cool. I know some girls that I've coached, not necessarily on my team, but on some dual teams that I've coached that are in the 2 year programs, and they're doing things like automotive, and
yep,
and 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 the quicker route to the nursing than going to a 4 year college for nursing. Of course, I mean there's benefits to both, and I'm not trying to put down the others, but I just want to show people that there is that other option. There is that the JUCOs give you some pretty cool options. I'll give you even a plug. I have a guy I work with that's taking. He's a computer science. He's a computer nerd, I'll tell you. But he took his first, his associates, and he will tell you, I learned more in my associate's degree because it was all hands on and stuff that I
yep,
actually do. And now the 4 year portion of it's all theory. And he's like, it's not as fun. I don't really get to do that hands-on stuff. So I really love the idea of, maybe even kids getting an opportunity to try what they want to do before they commit. And then there's always that option of transferring into the 4 year school. If you, wrestle for you for 2 years and you do really well, maybe University of Iowa is going to look at you, maybe Grandview, maybe William Penn, maybe, all these different ones. There's still that option of going on and getting that 4 year degree. So I think it's a really important thing that we look into for not just girls wrestling, but just overall. Um, I like to we still got a little bit of time left, but I like to talk about some different things and maybe spark some different conversations. Um, just because, I think it's fun for people to get to know people in a different way. So if you were going to take a vacation next week, where would you go? I know you've traveled a little bit with USA Wrestling. You've been overseas and stuff, but would you go to a mountainous area or would you hit the ocean? What would you do for vacation?
now that's a tough question because usually I schedule my vacation around wrestling.
Yep.
So if you say there's a big tournament somewhere and we could go to it, I don't know. I'm probably mountainous areas, um, somewhere like Montana or Wyoming, that
Yeah,
kind of area.
I got some connections out there in Montana. I might have to hook you up with some of the guys I know that are coaching some teams out there. Really beautiful area. I got duped one time and we went up to Montana. Uh, man, I thought we were going to, I'm watching what's the show? Oh, I can't even think of the name of it right off the top of my head. The one that's real popular, Cowboys and all that stuff.
Yellowstone.
And Yellowstone, there you go. Sorry about that. So I'm thinking, I'm going in to see all these mountains in this beautiful area. And we went it was the North Dakota border and, and had a meeting there. I was really disappointed. I was like, this place is flat.
Yeah.
But no, I absolutely love the mountains and actually I'm more of an ocean person. Are you a cat or dog person? Or do
Dog.
you just not have dog? Okay. Do you have any
Dog.
dogs?
I don't. Got a little small place here that I don't.
Gotcha.
I'd have to get a tiny dog. So
Wouldn't fit the personality. We've
yeah.
talked a little bit about this, and you're actually coaching both. And I'm even going to throw one more in there. Um, if you had your choice, freestyle, folk style, or Greco, what is your cup of tea?
I definitely. I think my passion is a freestyle. you
Hmm.
know, because that was kind of later on in life. I really started getting into it, started coaching it, get involved with it, and it's something that it's new to me, and I just love developing the new
Yep.
skills, all the time. There's always something changing, like over the last several years I've been involved, I've watched it evolve from like a 5 minute match
Yep.
to like best two out of three, and then like where they are now. It's been pretty much the same for the last couple of years, but it's definitely fun to watch that evolve. And not that I'm getting tired of folk style. It's just
Yep. It's
it's something new, especially getting like there's freestyle, and then the side project would be Greco.
uh-huh.
I love coaching Greco. I learned a lot from being part of the Minnesota Storm team. I mean, they were big in Greco,
Yep.
so just doing that as a side project, learning from that, using some of that technique. And I know that upper class girls wrestling, they won't admit it, but they're all wrestling Greco.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yep.
I was like, do you ever shoot on her legs? No. I was like, well, what are you doing? There's like snap downs, throws. I was like, that's Greco.
Yep. Yep. So do you think we'll ever see? I'm sure we will, but how far off are we on girls Greco or women's Greco?
I see it developing. I saw there was like a couple of teams down in Tulsa for the national duels. They had a Greco division down there. I know, Iowa, when I was growing up, Greco was kind of like the stepbrother. I mean,
Yeah.
there wasn't a
Yep.
lot of tournaments for that. We'd have to look everywhere. And I never had any coaching in Greco, and I didn't know the rules at all. And I got DQ'd because, touching the legs and
Yep.
tripping with the legs. Um, so that kind of gave me my first experience in Greco. And I was like, well, that's a stupid sport. Then once I
Yeah.
learned it and have seen it, even though like some of the matches aren't as exciting as you would expect, you see freestyle and stuff like that. But if you just watch the finer things like the hand fighting and the
Yeah.
position, that's when it starts getting exciting. You start seeing what's going on in that little battle.
Yeah, that's the part that makes it not so audience friendly. If you're a wrestling enthusiast, you can watch that hand fight and appreciate that. But for someone that doesn't really know wrestling or the rules, it's can be kind of a boring match to watch because there's
Yeah.
especially at the high level, it really depends on who gets that lift and off of the passivity calls and stuff. But um I am a huge shoe person. So let's just say you got to lace up the shoes one more time. You get to go. They found you one more year of eligibility somehow. You get the COVID year. Um, what kind of wrestling shoes are you going to buy now?
I got to stick with the Asics. I've been using Asics. I've had the same pair for probably almost 20 years now.
Yes.
They were the Rulons
Yep.
back in the day. And they've been on like they've wrestled on three different continents and made it to practice every day. And I have
Yeah.
another pair that I bought that I just never wear them. They just sit there and wait for these to blow out. But those
Yeah.
they're solid.
Yeah, those old ASIC shoes, you can't beat them because I wore the same pair from my junior year of high school all the way through college, and I accidentally threw them away. It was a horrible
Yeah,
day when I realized it. But you can't buy a pair of shoes anymore. It's a seasonal shoe now. It seems like
yeah,
one shoe and it's time for a new one the next year. I just like to buy a lot of different ones. I've gotten into the Rudis Sly Fox. Maybe it's because yeah, the age I am, the old Sly Fox stuff is kind of fits me. This is kind of an interesting. So I'm going to ask first, what's your favorite kind of music?
I just probably the old '80s rock, not metal
Gotcha.
rock, but just like the rock bands.
Yep.
That's probably what I usually go to. But every program that I've been a part of, I let the kids pick the music. So I got to
Yep.
listen to everything. And I was like, I don't hate it, but, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
my go to, but,
So this
so I
this
listen
is
to
where I
everything.
Yeah, this is where I'm kind of going with this because I've been talking to a lot of different coaches and athletes about this. Again, if you were going to step out on the mat and you had your earbuds in, what song are you going to be listening to prior to going out? And maybe even what song, like when you were competing in high school and college, and what would you do now differently?
Ah, that's a tough one. So I usually never listen. I mean, the words never resonated. It was just
Uh-huh.
the beat,
Yep.
in my head that just helped me focus. So usually I would listen to something that I needed to be calmed down before I
Okay.
wrestled. I wasn't the kind of guy that listened to like heavy metal. It was like, when I worked out,
Yep.
I want that stuff to
Yep.
pump you up, motivate you. But in wrestling, you want to stay calm, keep your breathing calm. So I always listen to something that would calm me down. And I don't know if they've even made music like that that I could listen to nowadays. So
You,
I
you,
don't
you
know.
actually
Yeah.
you actually answered my question completely there because I've been, I remember I think I had the old yellow Walkman. I don't know if you remember those, but you
Yep.
know, and I did listen to I was always a hairband guy and the harder getting, really up for a match. And now that I've talked to like you, I've talked to Emma Randall, I've talked to a few different coaches and some older athletes now, and they said exactly what you did. I need to calm down before my match and be more in that assassin type mode, that sniper type mode, not necessarily
Oh yeah.
100 miles an hour wasting energy. And this is where I'm heading with this. The pre-match ritual. As a coach, I'm stealing from everybody here because I'm trying to help my kids develop that pre-match ritual. I know what I did. What was your pre-match ritual?
Uh, Kind of similar to what I was just saying. I'd warm up, get a good warm up in. Make sure that my body was loose and relaxed. I know in my younger years, I was that guy. I would listen to, stuff that just got you jacked up and
Yep.
ready to go. And I think when I was younger, it helped. I mean, I went out and I beat some guys that I shouldn't have beaten because I was just going crazy and I was throwing caution to the wind.
Uh-huh.
But then as you get older and you get more experienced and you start moving up in the rankings and everyone's coming after you now, it's more important that, I stay calm because now they're the ones coming out. They're the
Yep.
ones coming out like a bat out of hell,
Hmm.
throwing things at you. You just got to stay calm. Don't get caught up in it, because that could definitely, I mean, wrestling, you can't really compare wrestling to anything. When I got girls that came in from a soccer season, you know, and they were nowhere near what there should have been as far as conditioning wise.
Yeah.
And then everyone thinks they're in shape until that they step out on the mat and that ref blows the whistle. And it's all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, what just happened to all my energy? You
Yeah.
know, and I think just being calm through that situation and learning how to breathe. We do a lot with the mental preparation of I think it was at Omaha where we had a sports psychologist came in and he helped with one of our classes and he ended up giving us like a CD back in the day. And somehow I've been able to keep a hold of that throughout the years, moving it from one phone to another to a computer to,
Uh-huh.
you know, and I've been able to keep a hold of that. John Stark is his name. He's a sports psychologist, and he runs them through like visualization, how to prepare for big matches, and you know, relaxing, big one. Meditating, things like that. Just going over, and I mean, sadly, today the kids they got so much distraction, uh,
Yeah.
and I like to tell them that hey, every once in a while, put all that stuff aside, just try to take some time, 30 minutes out of your day, an hour, just trying to empty your mind. Because I think when they come in, there's so many things going on in their head. And I can just see it as they're drilling or wrestling with somebody. I was like, you just need to clear your mind.
Yep.
Just think
Need to be.
wrestling. Come in here, just wrestle, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because they're so worried about what's on their phone, and this person said this comment to them, and I didn't get a like here, and
Yeah.
all that stuff that we didn't have to deal with. Um, while we're kind of talking about that, and um, over the years, I know my coaching has changed a ton because, we both kind of grew up in a different era than what it is now. Um, do you see yourself evolving maybe a more positive reinforcement than, I remember the negative reinforcement as I was being coached, and I try not to use that now. What are some of the things you've seen over your years of coaching that have changed, and what have you changed?
I think that's definitely a part of that. You can go through the USA Wrestling coaching certification, and they run you through a lot of stuff. And I'm up to silver. I got the silver certification now. I don't
Oh,
know if I'll
nice.
ever work towards the gold, but that's a lot more work.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things that they show you and they you go through it, you're like, man, yeah, I've been using that all along. I picked that up somewhere, and it's been a part of my routine and program and the schedule, the practices. But I think definitely, I feel like when I was younger, there was that feel.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I did good in a match. It was what I did wrong and what I need to work on and blah blah.
Mhm. Yep.
To me, when they walk off the mat, number one, there's some of me just gotta let them breathe, let them take their time, you
Yep.
know. But let them know what they did right, and just let them know that they look like they're putting everything they had out there, you know. Uh, Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes they don't want to hear anything,
Hmm.
but a lot of, especially wrestling or coaching with the girls, a lot of them come right off the mat and they look right at you and they want something. They want you
Yep.
to say something, and you gotta be prepared and you just gotta be ready with that positive stuff.
Yes.
'Cause,
Yeah. That's
what I
something
want.
I've
Yeah.
that's what
Then
I've
there's like, oh, you know what? Hey, you did good. I mean, you tried hard on that position. That's a tough one to get out of, things like that. And yeah,
I've noticed the group when I have and not all of them. I'll go back to when I was in high school. If I didn't go to my coach and hear his immediate feedback, I'm probably running the next day or doing something. There was if I didn't go see him, and now especially with the girls, man, I'll give if it's a bad loss or something, I'll give them that 10 minutes. I say, come find me when you're ready,
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
that, because they don't want to hear it. You're right, they don't want to hear it right then and stuff. And I'm looking for those positive things. That's pretty cool. It's kind of fun to see the evolution of coaching and where it's going. And I really I think we're doing I think we're doing good things here. Since we're kind of talking about this, um, people are always bagging on kids. Wow, this generation of kids isn't anything. Man, from what I've seen the last 5 or so years, man, kids are really. I think they are. I think they're awesome. I think they're doing really good things. I think they're doing things that, man, I don't remember ever doing. They're elevating themselves, maybe becoming specialized in something. But I also see, I'm in a smaller school, so I see a lot of kids doing a lot of different sports and being involved in a lot of things. And maybe I'm just fortunate to have some really great kids on my team that I'm seeing. But what do you think about that whole generational thing? Do you think your kids are, I guess, I don't know. I guess they would call us kind of that feral generation where we grew up
yeah.
with our parents are all working and we did whatever we wanted, and now I think we're past that babying stage. I don't know. What are you seeing with this generation of kids?
I think another pitch to a junior college. Uh, we have, I would say, probably almost half the girls um, are doing two sports, given the opportunity to still dabble. I mean, a lot of them have been doing like so. If we got one girl, she's been running her whole life,
Uh-huh.
but then she just started picking up wrestling. So instead of having to give that up, she was going to go to University of Northern Iowa.
Uh-huh.
And we told her, I told her, I said, hey, you can come here and you can wrestle and you can run as well. And then track coach he was flabbergasted. He was like, oh, this girl's times are going to beat all the ones we've ever had before. I don't know how that works,
Uh-huh.
but and we got girls playing soccer. We got girls throwing. I know we've had a couple girls that have looked into softball and volleyball here. just an opportunity to kind of finish that out. And like you were saying, I mean, that's a lot on your plate.
Yep, that is
And,
a whole lot.
but, I sit down and we make a schedule and they stick to it. And those are the girls I really count on. And I know they're going to be there and they're doing the right thing. So I don't even like those two sport athletes. We have, they're required to do so many study hours. They're required to turn in their grades every week.
Yep.
So those girls, I don't even worry about. I know they're getting it all done and taken care of, and yeah, there's a lot of stressful moments. We have to have sit down and have to have a little chat. But they're definitely. I think there's a lot of potential coming up. Just especially in the girls wrestling. Where I was just talking to a recruit that just came in right before this conversation for the Zoom call, and we were talking about how she started when she started on the team. She was like the only freshman, or no, she was like there was 7 freshmen, and now it's her senior year. She's the only senior.
Oh wow. So she
The
stuck
year
it out.
before, the year before, they still had the 7. So that senior year, all those girls just decided, hey, I just want to enjoy my senior year. And unfortunately, I've kind of seen that a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh, because there was girls I was recruiting, and then I go back and check this year. I'm like, oh, they're not even on the roster.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't want to come out. But I was like, I wish there was some way we could keep them involved.
Yeah.
I think there's Iowa's doing a lot of great things. And I love seeing the explosion of uh, the girls wrestling. The 2 divisions is going to definitely make a big impact, I believe. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was too early, but we'll
We'll
see.
we'll see. The
Yeah,
only time will tell on that. I
yeah.
think that the next evolution in that is some of those larger, and I speaking out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm in a co-op also, but I can see the breaking up of some of the co-ops, and that'll define those divisions a little bit better too. When you got the larger cities having one team instead of 5 teams, we'll start breaking that stuff up, and I think we'll see maybe more competitive wrestling, maybe a 2A, maybe even a 1A, 2A, 3A type of thing, like the boys do, because I think the sport might be growing enough to do that. Maybe not quite yet down the
Well, I
road.
know, I know on that point, I know the one area where they are struggling, and I'm struggling myself, it's coaches, finding coaches.
Yes, yeah.
I still have 2 open spots, uh, paid coaches here, and I'm looking, and I know with other programs, that's one of the biggest thing. And I asked, I was like, hey, what are you doing next year? And they're like, well, I can't leave because that's the only
Yeah,
coach in this
yeah,
town. And so one of the things that I've been working with is just developing. I got probably a handful, about 5 or 6 girls that really want to be a high school coach, and
yes.
so we're working on what's it going to take to get that. And by the time they're done here, they're all going to be certified Iowa coaches and have their coaching license, and then also their USA Wrestling certification to,
Yeah.
coach on the national team and stuff like that. And that's another thing I'd like to just create a coaching, something that's just building these coaches and sending them out there.
Yeah, you can send one up to Northwest Iowa.
Yeah.
My knees hurt a whole heck of a lot, and I would love to have a young coach that's ready to get started. I'll stick with them. I'll step down. I'll be the assistant. I don't care. Yeah, that's something really important. I just did this with. I'm sure you've met Nate. Yeah, I know you've met Nadine over the years and stuff. She did an officials clinic at our youth tournament. So we certified six girls, 6 female officials. They're mostly of them were at college, so she's put them with a mentor in their area. But they officiated my youth tournament after that, so they got experience. Uh, so it was free if you're a student. The girls union and well, actually no, the IWCA will pay for your dues for the two association and the union. And then for their payment, I bought them their first official shirt.
There
So
you go.
that's the other end. We got to get more coaches. We got to get more officials, and those girls that are doing your team, great opportunities for all of them to really get involved and to replace some of us old timers. So I'm excited about that's what I think most excited about is the girls coming in and I'm not going to say the women coming back to the sport to coach and to officiate and to be that person those girls can look and see themselves in. Um, just about done for today. I always like to give everybody an opportunity. Does not have to be a profound statement, but any final thoughts that you want to let people know about?
Just that we're building a program here. We've kind of weeded out some people, which I didn't like losing anybody, but we're trying to build a culture in a program that's just getting started. You know, we're kind of weeding down what we're looking for. We're looking for dedicated athletes that are independent. We don't have dorms here. We have a lot of apartment complexes that are surrounding us. So the kids are living a little bit more independent here than other junior colleges. And we didn't really talk too much about it, but the Iowa conference, and I think it's just overall great conference. You're not going to find any other state that has, 8 teams with women's programs on them right now. So I
Yeah,
think we're ahead of the game. It's very competitive. I'm not going to talk about bad about any one of them. They're very
yeah.
fun to compete against, and we're just we're growing here, and it's gonna be a fun adventure. Be honest.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I'm hoping that maybe I help your recruiting a little bit, but it was a fun conversation. It was fun to get to know you a little bit better. I know we run into each other a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was good to get to know you. I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop. Go ahead and stay on for just a moment.
Okay.